Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you for joining us for our Tuesday weather update. And we're tracking the big rainmakers impacting Sydney, and that same rainmaker is going to move to New Zealand. And in fact, there are several low pressure zones that are going to dominate the Tasman Sea and New Zealand area for the next week and a half ahead. So let's try and make sense of what is going on. There is a lot of cloud at the moment between Australia and New Zealand, with patchy rain moving in across most of the North Island from the west and a little bit brushing even the South Island. In the lower South Island, a bit of a cold change on the way. Today's high around 12 degrees for Southland. That's about as mild as it will be, because the next week ahead, you've mostly got single-digit daytime highs. Some days only just getting up to 5 degrees, like this weekend when a colder southerly comes on through. So on the wind map, we've got two different airflows. A southerly coming in here around this big high, and a northerly coming down here around this big high. In between the two, low pressure, and it's starting to form. As I said yesterday, when you've got a southerly on one side, northerly on the other, perfect recipe to spin that low pressure zone right here in the middle. Now this map also shows in the areas here of cloud, 3-hour rainfall. Now that's relevant because what it shows is this area just north of Sydney, very close to Sydney, showing this heavier rain up here around Queensland, mostly out at sea. And then on the New Zealand area, you can see that front with rain in it moving into the North Island and just a little bit brushing the lower South Island. And there is that colder southerly that's on its way later today. So when we take a look at the rain maps, we kick off with Australia first, the 48 hours from Tuesday this morning. You can see that heavy rain north of Sydney, where you're still talking about 90 to 100 millimetres of rain, and that's just falling over the next 48 hours. Sydney itself, borderline between about 20 and 35 or 40. Hopefully that's not enough to cause too many more problems. So there is the rainmaker as we go into Wednesday, and it links up with New Zealand. There is the front that we've got now for Tuesday, being pushed north of New Zealand though on Wednesday because of that incoming high. And that incoming high also brings that colder change into Southland, and that rain, that heavier rain north of Sydney, you can see it just there. By Thursday, the next new low pressure zone starts to deepen out here in the Tasman. We've got high pressure ballooning out over the New Zealand area, and it's that high that's really controlling that low pressure zone, how deep it gets and where it's likely to track. But as you can see here on Thursday, mostly settled around New Zealand with a light northerly in the north, and we've got rain on the way because that low is just about to move in. So the rainfall that's coming in for the north, heavy falls out here. Met Service already issuing a rain warning. We're talking about another 90, 100 millimetres of rain around this eastern side, and some heavy falls also around the Nelson Ranges with maybe 70 or 80 millimetres there for you. And the other area with perhaps some bigger downpours in these pink areas, around 50 millimetres. So most of the North Island's got a burst of rain coming through, as does most of the South Island. The only areas that are not seeing big areas of rain are in the yellow or gold shading, and that's still 15 to 20 millimetres in just 36 hours. And by the way, this goes from Thursday night through to Saturday morning in that period, so mostly covering Friday's rain. Now here is Friday's setup. So there is that big low coming in from Australia with plenty of northwest wind in front of it. So we might be seeing gales in some areas, heavy rain obviously in some areas as it moves on through. And down here in the south, not as wet, but still cold. Even with a northerly flow coming through, we're still expecting a pretty cold day on Friday in the lower South Island. And we've got this big high over here, which is stretching all the way south of New Zealand. That's also playing a role in our weather as we go into the weekend. So you see here on Saturday, the high stops short about here, and that's encouraging this much colder southerly flow to come into the lower South Island. The low on Saturday also splits in half. One on the Tasman Sea side, another one out here to the east. That will drive in plenty more rain and wind for the South Island, while the North Island, nor'westers, a few showers, sunny spells in the mix. Now, final map on Sunday shows these low pressure zones completely being split apart by this high. So there's the Tasman low, a new one forming, and the other one is out here, 956, big storm, but moving away very fast in just 24 hours and leaving behind a small area of low pressure. So there are like several lows that are impacting New Zealand over the next 10 days. And these are just the ones right through until this coming Sunday. And of course, next week, that one will move through, and we've got more behind it as we go through the next couple of weeks of July. That's all from me for today. Back again tomorrow, Wednesday, with our next update. See you then.